Hi there, this is Roman with Holistic Dog Training, and I'm sharing life from my travel to Mount Shasta. I'm in my RV, and so you will hear some background noise. So thanks for watching anyway. We're going to talk about separation anxiety and why dogs show separation anxiety and how do we get it addressed. So, hi there, how you guys doing? So that's my RV, and I'm traveling. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and pretty much at the end, I'm going to answer any questions you may have. So, separation anxiety. The different types of separation anxiety. We're going to talk first about the naturally occurring separation anxiety, so you guys understand the concept. And then we're going to talk about the conditioned separation anxiety, or we also talk about trauma-based separation anxiety. In other words, I want to kind of make a clear understanding that when a dog shows anxiety, it's not just one type of anxiety. We need to understand the source of it. So, let's talk about the natural occurring separation anxiety. Let's go back in time, young puppy, just being born, and the whole puppies are staying together, and the mother has to leave. At that point, a naturally occurring separation anxiety puts the dog into a freeze mode. Like the dog is not moving and is not barking and is not whining. It's a state of staying calm, stay under the radar, so nobody will find you and kill you in nature. This gives the mother time to go outside, refresh herself, get something to drink, get something to eat, come back again so she can continue feeding the puppies. Now, as this happens naturally, mother leaves, returns back with food. Puppies recognize that her leaving is not a bad thing because she comes back with food. And that is an important factor because this is genetically already imprinted. So when the puppy is born, this process is naturally coming up. When you adopt a puppy, 8 weeks old, it's just being removed from his parents, the first thing is going to happen, he will get stressed because nothing is the same. His people or his family that he used to is not there anymore. So there is naturally coming up as a survival response. Similar to the first beginning when the puppy feels it has to survive and is being quiet about it and is not making any noise and stands still, he doesn't do anything, just being quiet. But what happens if, like a mother would be, we leave the puppy alone, we put him in a crate, and then we're going through puppy crate training, and then we stick to the plan, and everything is good, and the puppy is whining, and some people says, "Don't ignore your puppy, you know, you don't pay attention to your puppy, and all of average perspective. Okay, dogs come in the house, people have fun with the puppy. There's constantly somebody with the puppy, and then suddenly somebody has to go to work, and somebody has to go, doing something out for shopping and business. We grab the puppy, we throw it in the crate, we close the door, we leave. The puppy gets frustrated. Usually, there's no water in there. Usually people are so smart, taking the dog out for potty, give him something to drink, and then going outside for potty again, let him pee, and then put him back in the crate, and then they leave. But that is a starting point of a routine that a puppy will start soon remember. Like, what do we do? The people leave, they put me in the crate, and then they're gone forever, and they will never come back, and life is miserable, and I'm gonna die in here. I cannot go anywhere. I'm alone. I'm scared. Barking, scratching, anxiety, boom. Separation anxiety. Welcome to the world of separation anxiety that actually people created. And that, it happens all the time. We miss the part where the dog has been removed from his previous home, from his parents, and end up in your house. And usually the weekend is there, people are there around, everybody's there. The puppy starts feeling comfortable in your family, and suddenly everything stops abruptly, and the puppy is being separated. And it comes all over again. Next day, and the day after, the next day. He doesn't want to be in the crate because suddenly he's being separated. He wants to go back to his over. Okay. This is where we have to step in and change that. I would recommend you to start before that message I want to send to my puppy. Why is he going in the crate? Because I'm leaving? Why is he going in the crate? Because I don't want him anymore? Why is he going in the crate? Because I hate him, I don't love him, I'm gonna let him there starve and being thirsty? No. What I want to show the puppy that in the crate, it's a safe place to be. There are things that can happen in the crate. It's kind of like our own personal room where good things can happen, right? Feel comfortable in the crate because dogs love to be in the den. The den concept is basically an excuse or an idea of the crate industry to make you feel better about the crate. So I'm not buying into that. In reality, if you look around, you'll find the dogs don't dig holes in the ground and put their puppies in there. However, the dog will put dogs in a safe place where they are safe from anything else. Usually it's covered, but it's not the den. It's a safe place. But just because the mother did that to their puppies for the first couple of days, that doesn't mean that a dog should be okay forever, right? So, that you have to get out of your mind. Dogs are not comfortable in the crate in general because dogs live in the dens. No, this is only a very first beginning stage of life of a puppy to be in a safe, secure space, and usually it's a one-way entrance. Dog goes in, hides there, make sure it's under the radar, it's not exposed. Okay, the puppies are very small, they're easy being preyed, and that's it. Now, once the puppies are old enough, they're good enough to lay in the corner, sleep together, being in a safe covered place, but it doesn't have to be a den. It's not a natural space for the dogs to be. So putting that aside, let's go back to the crate. If you have a puppy and you start the crate training there, everything is good. And the whole concept of teaching the puppy that in the crate, that is a confined space, it's a place of comfort. Now, Imagine that in Europe, say for example in Italy, a confined space for a dog is 430 square feet, 420 square feet, square meters, which means it's pretty much a big space for a dog to be. Now in US, we are considering the dog being in the crate as no problem. And I've seen too many dogs being in too small of crates. And we put the dogs in there, and the dogs have no room to move. They don't have room to move around. They don't have space for the water. My wife, I'm doing a live video over. So we make sure that we have to be very careful how we do with the puppies. We have to be teaching the puppies that in the crate, it's a temporary situation. It's not forever. It's just for his safety and just for his fun. So we have to break it down and create that idea and that understanding that in the crate it's not isolation, in the crate is a fun place to be. So how do we start that? First of all, yep, I was safe. We saw the cop.
That's hilarious.
I'm on a live video.
There's no construction going on.
I'm on a live video, over.
Right there,
So, and when that happens, we have to teach the puppy what to do with it. So what I would do, take a couple of treats, take them in your hand. Yeah, I'm going to slow down here because we have a lot of traffic. Here we go. Take a couple of treats and start tossing the treats in different directions for your puppy to go and pick them up. So you take a treat, you toss it, it's going in a crate, towards the crate, the puppy picks it up, comes back to you, gets another treat. And then you continue that game and toss the treats closer and closer towards the crate. If you don't work on a crate and you work with this partition or a baby gate, you want to make sure that the puppy behind a closed gate and behind the crate feels comfortable. So start doing some exercises. The first exercises for myself is kennel up, or going in your den, or going in your crate, or going to your place. And that has to become a game. And so the treat game is perfectly because the puppy goes into it in that concept of confinement on its own free will. So you take a treat, you toss it in there, the puppy goes in. Now, if you see that the puppy consistently goes into that space, you start naming that. Kennel up, for example. And then you're going to teach your puppy to do certain obedience skills. Sitting, laying down, okay? In that den, I'm sure you will have something for the puppy to interact with, something that it's safe, so he can chew on, but he shouldn't swallow it. That's step number one. Step number two, and we're going towards the separation anxiety, anti-separation anxiety training, because important is to make the puppy safe place very clear what it is, okay? Because we cannot leave a puppy being free in the house. So you have to have a confined space so your puppy is safe. A puppy safe place. So the next thing we're going to do is teaching the puppy what's going to happen if he is behind the crate or behind the closed gate, and what's going to happen next. So as you introduce your puppy to the crate and the puppy goes into the crate, you close the crate, you ask the puppy to sit and stay, and then you walk away from there. Then you come back and you give the puppy another treat. Start sending him signals that if you walk away, you will come back for more treats, for more foods. And I know some of you will turn their eyes and say, oh man, is what? Like, oh man, there are more and more of those people who are food motivated and they want to give their treats food. Yes, that's what I'm doing. And here's why. Scientifically evidence that dogs are motivated for two basic things. A, survival, and B, food that leads to survival. Plus, they also love affection. So, affection and food is a motivation for the dogs to do things. So, if you want to be smart and says, "Oh, I don't use any treats. I'm gonna do nothing because he's supposed to do what I'm telling him to do." You know what? Just stop that video. Don't watch it. Okay. However, if you think about the idea that dogs do things for food and dogs do things for affection, then you want to include that to your reward system. So, as you move away from the crate and you come back, you send the dog a message. The reason why he's in this crate, because you come back and he gets another treat. And you do that a couple of times. Do it 10 rounds. Move away, come back. Now, because we want to leave the space, we're going to have the dog being in control of what you do. The puppy needs to learn, and the dog needs to learn, that he shouldn't get worried. And if he gets worried, their solution is coming. Now, you want to watch when your dog shows the first signs of anxiety. The dog is panting, the dog is standing, you see him like being anxious. Okay, as soon as you see that signal, when you walk away, you stop. You stop there, you don't move. And as soon as the puppy gives you a calming signal, like a calmer signal than before, like stops panting or sits down, you go back, you give him another treat. Teaching the puppy that the reason why you come to him is because he did a performance. Now, as soon as you walk away and the puppy gets up, you stop, you don't continue walking, and I will explain to you why. You make a U-turn, you wait for a puppy, and ask him to sit from distance. He sits down, then you go back and you give him another treat. Now, why we do this routine? Because separation anxiety is based on fear. And if the dog is afraid that you will leave, then you will confirm his fear when you leave. And you don't want that, because that is guaranteed the foundation of separation anxiety. So you want to give the dog control of you. You want the puppy to be able to control when you're coming back. But that control comes with a cost. It's not for free. Okay? So if your puppy wants you to come back, the puppy has to sit. And later on, we want the puppy to lay down. Now here's the thing. Sitting and laying down is an emotional state. It's not an obedience. Yes, in the beginning you teach your dog that if you sit and you lay down, I will come back. But later on, the dog has to offer that behavior on his own. Sitting is a signal of patience. Laying down is a signal of long-term patience and calmness. A dog who is not calm will not lay down. A dog that is not confident and not comforted, he will not sit down on his own. You can see that, right? So we want to see those signals, because those are the only signals we see that the puppy is in a good emotional state. Because we don't want to leave that room before our dog feels comfortable about it. So that said, our goal is for the dog to be desensitized and feel comfortable us leaving. And on the other hand, we want the dog not to look forward for us leaving and trigger his separation anxiety. We want the dog to look forward for us to return to get rewarded for his performance. That's the key factor. Even if you do it a different way, and even somebody tells you something different, think through the concept. What makes you more anxious? Seeing somebody leave, or it makes you more happy if somebody returns? And why is that? If we are not in control, knowing when the person returns, that anxiety will be much higher, right? And if we knew when the person returned, then we are calm. Think when your best friend leaves. They say, I'll call you when I'm end up there. And you're like, what time would you be there? Your separation anxiety starts kicking in. So because of that, we want the puppy to learn that we are returning. This is what the puppy should look for. Now, how do we leave the room? We need to break it down in small individual pieces. First of all, if your puppy faces the door of your exit, that's a tricky one. I would put him definitely in a room where the dog doesn't see the exit. So you can start working on that. So have the puppy being in the room of comfort, a bedroom, a specific room that you dedicated to your dog, and start from there. It's important that your puppy is in a place of calmness, right? So it's not always in a high traffic place. The last thing I want is the puppy to recognize there is a routine on you leaving, because we don't want that routine yet, because we haven't addressed separation anxiety yet. Make sense? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look for rewarding the dog for giving us a signal whenever he feels discomfort. We need that information. So you have to watch very carefully to see which are those signals my puppy sends to me to tell me that he doesn't feel comfortable, because that is where the whole thing stops. We want to tell the dog that, yes, I recognize that you're scared, but I'm here. I didn't go anywhere. As soon as you're calm, I'll give you a treat, and then I'm going further back, as far as you want me to go. Right? And this is where we start desensitizing the distance. That distance is important because separation anxiety is similar to the event sit and stay. Why does the dog move when you try to teach him sit and stay? And you walk away and your dog is following you? Because that is the first excitement towards separation anxiety. He doesn't want to be alone, so he comes to you to follow you because he doesn't like the distance. So that's why we desensitize first the distance. Just as sit and stay. So picture sit and stay exercises just behind the crate or just behind the gate. Now, while sit and stay, you release the dog with a specific cue, like free or come, whatever. Your cue on crate for your dog to return is when you physically return. So it's a long sit and stay, basically, in a conditioned place, right? So from that perspective, I'm going to grab something to drink. We want to make sure that we break it down in individual aspects of when my dog is triggered, being scared of me leaving. So now that the dog gets comfortable of you leaving and returning, now we're going to add the door into that aspect. What's going to happen if I touch the doorknob? If you reach down to the doorknob and you try to open the door and your dog goes into anxiety, stop there. Don't leave that spot. Wait for the dog to sit down. It takes a couple of minutes. Let the dog sit down. Good job. Go back, give him another treat, and then you go back to the door. Now what we do is we desensitizing the door aspect, because the door is a thing that makes you disappear. The dogs don't have logic. They only recognize what they see. So if you close that door, you're not visible. The dog doesn't know where you are. He doesn't know when you're coming back. So we want to teach the dog exactly what's going to happen if you're leaving that door. If you guys have any questions, start texting it, okay? Now the next thing we're going to look for is opening the door, going outside, closing the door, and immediately open the door back again. Go back and give the dog a treat. So you progress, you continue your steps step by step as the dog feels comfortable. You don't need to do that in 1 day shot. You can also do it in 2 days or 3 days. There's no rush on that. It really depends on your dog emotion and how the dog is processing it. So if you want to teach the dog not to have separation anxiety, take a couple of days, 1 or 2 days off, and work on that. Do it on the weekends. Okay? So the next thing we're going to look for is what's going to happen if the dog is not in your sight. Now, what I suggest is get your iPad, your laptop, your computer with with a camera, log yourself into a video session with yourself, right? Two accounts, obviously, right? And then you want to watch your dog, what's happening in there, because as soon as you close the door, you have no visual with your dog, and you need to know what's happening. So set up the camera facing the dog, make sure there's enough lights there. You can add some music in the background so the dog is not audible what you're doing behind the door, if you are or not, okay? And then just watching it. As soon as you see the dog gets nervous, open the door, come back. See, you called me, you got nervous, I'm right here. Good. And then once your dog comes down, you go back to the door, close the door, and you're outside again watching the camera. That will give you the signal how long the dog can last. So you literally count seconds. 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Oh, he gets nervous. Okay, let's go back in again. So now with the sensitizing, how long can you be away without being at sight? And that is a key factor. Because once you close the door, the dog really doesn't know where you are. But we want the dog to think or to believe that you are right behind the door. And even if you are behind the door, you'll be back whenever he needs you. And that you condition. So if you would ask your dog, where am I? And he's like, behind the door. If I need you, you're right there. Good. Sometimes I'm coming immediately back. Sometimes longer. So don't respond immediately as soon as you see a second or two before you answer. Ask your dog to sit, and then you give him a treat. And then you ask him to lay down. And if he lays down, he gets a jackpot. Jackpot means multiple treats. If your dog does a jackpot, if you come in when you walk into the door and the dog is laid down, you're going to let the dog out from his crate. The reason why he gets out of his crate, because he's laid down. That's the key factor. Now, let's resume a little bit, just in case I didn't explain it right. You're working first on distance, walking away from the crate, and you can reward your dog by returning back. The next level is desensitizing the door. Okay, going towards the door, touching the door, opening the door, going back, reward the dog. But you want the dog to be calm and sitting, not because you told him, it's because the dog feels that this is the way to come back. Okay? And then you're going to help your dog recognize that laying down gets you even a jackpot. So what do you prefer? Sitting and getting one treat, or laying down and get a jackpot? And then you start working on being behind the door. Close the door, your dog sits, you go back, you give him a treat. You ask him to lay down, he lays down, you leave. You go behind the door, you close the door, you open the door, come back again. If the dog is laid down on his own, he gets a jackpot. And now all of a sudden you will see that the dog remains laid down as you leave on the door. If he remains down, okay? So, again, work on distance, work on time, work on sit and stay, work on lay down, and then you will ask your dog or you expect your dog to sit down when he's calm and lay down when he's even more calm, and that will give him a jackpot, and that's what gets him out. So work on that. Many dogs will respond very good on that exercise, okay? And usually the dogs who don't have a trauma, meaning is they have not been left in the crate for too long, they have not been struggling with going to the bathroom, and they've never been fearful of anything. So trauma can happen without you knowing it. So you want to make sure if your dog shows already anxiety, salivation, peeing or pooping in the crate, that's a completely different stage, okay? That needs different treatment. You're welcome to message me on that, and we can talk about it and find a better way to address that. So it's a little bit more complicated, but usually that method I just explained to you works pretty well, okay? Now, one thing that I want you to heads up is that you don't want the dog to be rewarded every time he comes to you, because that becomes a conditioned job. Meaning is, I want you to be with me all the time. So every time you come up, you get rewarded. And if you leave or you're not visible to your dog, and the dog has that anxiety because his job is to be with you all the time, you created it because you told him that I want you to be next to me all the time because I pet you and physically reward you. So you have to change your job description. Meaning, if your dog comes up to you without you calling him, don't pet him. Let him walk away, and then you call him back, and then you reward your dog. So this way you create a new job description. I only call you when I need you. If I don't call you, I don't need you. Because that will not put you in a difficult position that the dog has separation anxiety, not because he's afraid you're not coming back, it's because he's failing on the job that you created. Make sense? So thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, post it in the comments. I'll